What's going on YouTube? In this video, I want to talk about retainer versus commission and what are the pros and cons. You're not going to want to miss this video so that you can finally decide which path is best for you based on your current life situation. Before we dive in, if you're someone that's stuck in your business, you don't know if you should do email copywriting, inbound closing, setting, you don't know what you should charge, where to find clients, how to close the clients, how to keep the clients, I recommend you book a free strategy call below, and on that call, me or one of my team members will meet with you and we'll point you in the right direction, give you massive clarity, and then if it makes sense too, we can chat about our flagship program, Hybrid Freelance Machine, where we teach you everything about these three topics: email copywriting, inbound closing, setting, so that you can finally start getting clients and get the hell out of your job. Also, don't forget to join our free Facebook group below. Would love to have you inside, where you can learn some free stuff that we aren't really sharing here on YouTube. So let's dive right in. So number one, we're gonna talk about the retainer, the pros. So the best perk of retainer, I think everyone sees it this way, is you get paid up front. So you land your client has to pay you before you start working for them. I mean, you could have something set up where you get paid later, but for the most part, for a retainer deal, you get paid up front, cash in the bank, money to play with for whatever you want to use it on, software, to grow your business, whatever. So it's a huge benefit. If you know that for every client you get, you're gonna make anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a month, you know that you should be outreaching like a motherfucker until you get a client, and that'll be money in your bank. There's no getting a client and then waiting around, right, for money. The next one is you know what you'll make each month. So this isn't 100% set in stone. For example, they could, can your ass at any moment, but for the most part, you have a pretty good idea of what you're gonna make every month. If the client is happy, they're giving you constant signs that they're happy, you know you're probably gonna get your next payment and your next payment. You can also have stipulations in your contract of how long they have to give you a heads up if they're canceling the contract. So that, if you have it, 30, 60 days, you know you're gonna get paid the next month. For this one, I think it's pretty obvious. Anyone paying you, anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a month, those are fairly large payments, so it's a good chunk of money you're gonna be making all at one go, regardless if the value's there, right? That's one thing that you can kind of get away with retainer is you can sometimes get paid more than you're worth because there's so much gray area in the deal. You have to work with the client long enough for them to pick up on any shortcomings that you might have. You should do your very best in the deal, but understand that you have a little leeway because you can kind of, they're going to see value in you writing alone versus actually making money off their list. So that value of you writing can kind of work in your favor a little bit. And that's kind of what I was going for with here, right here, is less skill required. So you basically don't have to be super good to get paid, but understand that later on, if you keep that up, if you keep being shitty, even though you're writing and you're producing content, because there's two things that are good about writing, is that you are providing content for the client in the form of words, but also the second value you should be trying to go for is obviously making that money. So there's less skill required in the beginning because you're going to look like content to them. But understand too is if you keep that up long enough and you're not making any money off the list, they will 100% get rid of you. So let's get into the cons now. So the first con is it's a big ask when you're cold emailing or cold DMing or cold calling. It's a big ask to have someone give you that kind of money. Normally they're gonna want case studies or past experience showing that you know your shit. They want to trust you, and that's a lot of money to give someone. So the level of trust you have to build with them is a lot higher. Keep that in mind. You're going onto a call with this person to pull money out of them. They're getting very little in return up front. You're pulling cash out of their wallet immediately. And they're hoping that by you writing for them every day, they're going to pull more than they pay you out of the list, right? They obviously want to make more money off their list every month than they pay you. So you have to keep that in the back of your head. You got to hustle. The second con is it can be slower to land your first client if you don't know what you're doing, because again, it is a bigger ask. There's very little incentive for the client to want to hop on a call with you. You have to make sure you're giving away free value, free samples, free trials, because ultimately at the end of the day, they know they're going to pay you up front, basically. I mean, you can word it differently. If you're going in for the commission stuff, you can actually tell them you're not going to charge them anything up front. For this deal, you're obviously not going to talk about that because you want to get them on a call. You want to make the investment look smaller so they can actually get the call. Then on the call, you close them. So it can be slower. People are very hesitant to get on calls because they don't want to get sold. So it can be slower to land your first client. I had a student recently. I think it was their very first commission-only deal call they got on, closed it. That's the power of commission versus retainer. I'll get into commission obviously in a second here, but retainer is a little bit slower to land your first client. Now, if you've already landed your first client, it's very easy to get your second client because you can use that as a case study. And the third con is you must be available 24/7 to the client. Remember, when you're on a retainer deal, they're paying you a big lump sum every month. So they expect big things out of you. Otherwise, they're just going to can you and go find someone else that will respond to them at midnight or whatever. They don't want to work with people that are half-assing it. And that's one of the downfalls of being an independent contractor is they can fire you at any second. So there's pros and cons. Pros are when you're an independent contractor, you can get onboarded in 2 seconds, right? There's very little risk for the client, but they can your ass at any given moment. So you got to make sure you're available for them. You kind of want to, be one DM away because they know they can go find a copywriter down the street. They're everywhere. Everyone wants to be a copywriter. Who are you to think that you just deserve that payment every month if you're not willing to communicate properly with your client? And then the fourth con is kind of what I already said. You're more likely to get booted if you're not performing. You got to go above and beyond with these retainers. If you're not performing. If you're performing and you're making them a lot of money, then you can chill. You can relax. Just keep doing what you're doing. But if you think that they're just going to keep paying you a monthly payment every month and you're not getting them actual cold hard cash, you're just, giving them content, that can work for a while, but eventually they're going to catch on and they're going to fire you. So the first pro of commission-only deals is it gives the prospect all the upside. You're going to see right away it's going to be way easier to book calls, way easier to close calls, because you are essentially giving all the value to the prospect and taking all the value away from yourself. Imagine how much you would like it if you hopped on every call and they paid you a retainer up front and you closed almost 100% of your deals. Do you think you'd like that? You took all of the risk and put it on the client and you took it and you get all the benefit. Now flip that. That's essentially what a commission only deal is. You're giving all the risk you're putting all the risk on yourself, taking it all away from the client. Your close rate is going to skyrocket. Your call booking rate is going to skyrocket. It's giving the prospect all the upside. And that can be good or bad depending on where you're at. Maybe you need money now, so you don't want to give too much away like that. Maybe you're cool with waiting a little bit to actually make money for the client, to actually justify getting paid. You're going to have a higher close rate. It's going to be easier to get clients. Which brings me to the second point. It's stupid fast to land your first client. Like I said, a student recently landed their first client. I think it was the first sales call they got on for a commission-only deal. It's easy as hell. You don't even have to worry about the sales call. You just get on and you just tell them straight up, hey, look, I'm going to manage your broadcast emails. I'm going to set up all your automated sequences. I'm going to manage your list every day, tag leads, everything, funnel them into the right sequences. I'm going to make sure the content that's going out on your email list is not repetitive. We're doing a new topic every day. We're using the right structure that you should be implementing in your specific X niche business. All you have to do, Mr. Client, is fill the list with leads, and that's it. So you get to focus on content. I focus on all the boring stuff behind the scenes, writing. And you can literally be hands-off on your email list. It's such a good offer for prospects. They love this offer. Number 3, pro, you will find that you'll hardly need to be available. When you're working on commission, the client is not going to be DMing you late at night trying to get a random-ass email out because they know you're in charge of the list. It's on your shoulders to make money. You only get paid if you perform. You're going to find that you're going to have a way better time each day with clients. They're going to be happy to be working with you because they know that if they get rid of you, they're going to have to go dig from the horde of people that only want to do retainer. They're going to be absolutely thrilled to work with you, so they're not going to be annoying you. They know you've got it covered, and they know there's no risk. They have no reason to annoy you at 12 midnight because you're going to get paid what you brought into their business. You're going to get paid according to what you put in. The fourth, retention rate skyrockets. If you just have to be decently good. It's going to skyrocket because they know every month you're getting paid what you made them. So there's no net loss for them. That's partially true because there could be a loss in the $1,000 to $3,000 range because you should honestly be charging more in those lower ranges per commission. Because, for example, let's just say you landed a client, right? You need to charge a higher commission for the lower amount of money each month because you need to get paid. And the client will understand this. And if you're charging 20% month one, they haven't made a dime with their email list for months. And you make them $1,000. You get 20%. You made $200 for 30 emails that month plus all the automated sequences. No, you should be making the majority of that first month. And they will understand that. They're still not at a net loss because they made the money. So they should be absolutely thrilled with your higher percentage in the lower months. and then you should slowly decrease that percentage as time goes on, as you make more and more money each month. The percentage should be based on the amount you're making them each month. It's a performance deal. The first con of commission is going to be money paid after you perform. You don't get paid up front. You have got to perform, otherwise you're not going to make money. It's simple. Another con is you don't know what you're going to make each month. Each month is going to be a different amount, and you got to plan your life accordingly. A lot of people, most people you'll meet, want consistent money. They want to know what they're going to make every month. They're scared of having bad months, but here's the pro of this kind of deal is, even though you don't know what you're going to make each month, remember, the fact that you can have such low months is the same exact reason you can have such high months. You can make way more in a month than people that are doing this that only want to work retainer. Again, this kind of lines up with the second con is you're going to get small payments if you suck. You've actually got to educate yourself on how to write these emails. Otherwise, you are going to get paid what you're worth. Two-edged sword. It's easy to land clients, but if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to get paid much. Here it is again. This is kind of related. It's more thought. You have to have more thought and skill required to make money. You're not going to have that gray area period where you can just kind of write. It looks good to the client, looks good on paper. The emails look great. They're sending a consistent email to their list every day, but then they're going to start to realize the money's not coming in. So then they're going to want to fire you on a retainer. But for commission, you don't get any of that gray area period but not that it affects you. You're still going to have the work, but the client's going to notice you're not making any money. It's going to suck for you. You don't get that nice little time period where you can kind of get away with being a shitty writer. You have got to perform, otherwise you're not getting paid. So there's pros and cons to each model. You've got to decide which one lines up more with your specific life situation. I normally recommend if you have a longer runway, then you go retainer if you're starting out. Because with retainer, you're getting paid up front. And you can play the part, land a deal, and figure out how to write later. That's fine. As long as you're performing, you're fine. I guess it could go hand in hand with if you have less of a runway too, you might want to do retainer because you need money quick. You need cold hard cash. And you want to just, get the deals closed. You're going to have to do a lot more outreach. But with commission only, clients are going to love you way more. You're going to have a way easier time getting clients. But again, you're going to have to perform. Again, make sure to book that free strategy call if you're looking for clarity, and then also get into our free Facebook group below to network with like-minded individuals that also want to get the hell out of their jobs.